Hi, I'm Ruth Murillo, the registered dietitian for the YMCA in Metropolitan Fort Worth, and today I'm going to be making for you a pumpkin pie parfait. This recipe is a great alternative to traditional pumpkin pie. It is delicious and really quick and easy to make. There is no baking required, so any level of cooking skills can conquer this recipe. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first ingredient is Greek yogurt. So if you don't know, Greek yogurt has twice the protein of traditional yogurt. That makes it a lot healthier for you. And yogurt has come a long way in having more options that are low sugar, no sugar, and also non-fat. So they really are very healthy for you. I chose a vanilla Greek yogurt. That was a non-fat variety, but you choose the yogurt that you like best. I'm gonna start with 1 cup of vanilla Greek yogurt, and I'm gonna scoop that right into my blender. This whole recipe can be done in a blender or food processor. And I like that part too because it really cuts down on dishes. All right, so I'm gonna put 1 cup of the vanilla Greek yogurt right into my blender. Next up is going to be the pumpkin puree. So for pumpkin puree, I recommend just a standard 100% pure pumpkin. You don't want to buy the canned variety that is essentially pumpkin pie in a can because it has the seasoning and the sugar already added to it, whereas this one is just pure pumpkin. The only ingredient is pumpkin, so they haven't added anything else to it, no additives or preservatives or anything like that. We're going to add 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree. I'm gonna scoop that out. And this, if you don't know, pumpkin has a ton of nutrition benefits, lots of vitamin A, lots of fiber, and it is great for the fall. So good this time of year. Who doesn't love pumpkin? All right, so I'm gonna add that right to my blender. Next up, I'm going to use milk or milk alternative. Again, you choose the milk variety that you like the best. This one is a milk alternative, so it's a plant-based milk. It's not real dairy, but it's a nice compromise because it does have a similar taste and texture to traditional milk. I think regular dairy milk would work just as good for this recipe. So again, you use the milk that you have on hand. I'm going to go ahead and add 1/2 cup. You may have to add a little bit more depending on the consistency. So we'll check it here in a minute when we get blending. All right, next up, this is kind of unique. So this is pudding mix, but we're not making the pudding. We're just using the powder from the package. The recipe calls for butterscotch pudding, and actually they didn't have butterscotch, but I thought this was a great opportunity to be flexible. When you go to the store, you don't always see the ingredients you need, and so this one is a white chocolate. I think that might even turn out better. So vanilla, white chocolate, butterscotch, any of those would be a great option for your pudding mix. I did opt for the sugar-free option, so it is going to be lower sugar content. It just adds a lot of nice flavor, and it helps your parfait really stick together. All right, so 1 tablespoon of that. Next up is going to be the cinnamon. You can use either cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice. Pumpkin pie spice contains a lot of cinnamon, so they're very similar. It just has a few additional seasonings in there, like clove and ginger, and so I'm going for the pumpkin pie spice for this recipe. I think the spicier the better on that. All right, last would be your sweetener. So you can choose to make it just as is with no sweetener. I will say the yogurt is already a little bit sweet, the pudding is a little bit sweet, and so it's up to you and your taste preferences. You know, if you like things a little bit sweeter, you may opt for a non-nutritive sweetener like stevia or one of the others, and so you can decide. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons. I will say this sweetener is a lot sweeter tasting than traditional sugar, and so you don't have to use as much. I'm just gonna add a little bit in here. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and start blending. So again, you put all your ingredients into a blender or food processor. Another option, if you have it, would be an immersion blender. You could blend this up in a bowl that way as well. All right, halfway through, I always think it's good to scrape down the sides, make sure that you're getting all the ingredients evenly incorporated, and that gives you an opportunity to check the texture. You wanna make sure it's about like pudding consistency, and so you can see if you did need to add more of the milk, or you know, if it needed to be a little bit thicker, you could add a little bit more pumpkin to it and really make it the way you want it. All right, one more quick blend. All right, so now my parfait is ready, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the layering of this recipe. So I am using this cereal. It is a very high fiber, low sugar content cereal, and I will say traditionally on its own, a lot of people don't necessarily like bran cereal, but when partnered with something really sweet and flavorful, it gives a really good crunch, and you really don't notice that you're having a cereal that would be particularly bland or healthy for a normal bowl of cereal. So I'm gonna pour that in first. Just put a layer at the bottom of each cup. Okay. Then I'm gonna come in with a layer of our pumpkin mixture from the blender right on top. Looks good and it smells good too. All right. Now I would come back with another little layer of the cereal. Again, you're just kind of making that parfait, so you can layer it how you like, but I like a lot of the crunchy pieces in my parfait. All right, I'm gonna divide it evenly into 4 portions. One standard recipe does make 4 servings of this. All right, a little more cereal on top. And then last up, I'm gonna go for a whipped topping. You could use regular traditional whipped cream, Cool Whip, whatever you prefer. This is, again, a sugar-free variety of the Cool Whip. I'm gonna put that right on top, just a little bit, a few tablespoons of this on top is really all you need. I like this because it's in the frozen section, and so it does stay good for a long time. It has a longer shelf life. You don't have to use the whole thing right away or it's not gonna go bad on you. All right, so I've got my Cool Whip on there, and then I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of the pumpkin pie spice again, and that's just for a garnish to make it really pretty on top. All right, so your pumpkin pie parfait is ready. 1 serving of pumpkin pie parfait has only 115 calories compared with a traditional slice of pumpkin pie that would be 350. So it saves you a ton of calories. It's also much lower in fat, and it actually has more protein than what pumpkin pie would usually provide for you. So if you like this recipe, check out the YMCA website, ymcafw.org. We've got other recipes up there for you, and you can find out more information about me and the nutrition services I offer here at the Y.